I want to talk to you today about something that can feel maddening when you're in it and so deeply validating once you see it clearly. If you've ever tried to resolve conflict with a narcissist and then walked away feeling like somehow you became the problem, you're not imagining things. This episode is called Why the Narcissist Doesn't Want Resolution. They want reversal. And I'm not just talking about someone who's bad at communication or who gets defensive now and then. I'm talking about that sinking feeling when you bring up a concern, hoping for repair or understanding, and instead you find yourself on trial. You're no longer discussing their behavior, you're defending yours. So let's try to walk through why this happens and what it says about the narcissistic mindset. Good start is by defining the difference between resolution and reversal. Resolution is when both people come to the table. They're ready to listen, to acknowledge what actually happened, and then come to an understanding and ideally work toward healing. It requires humility. And it requires both people seeing each other as equals. So already you're starting to see the problem because narcissists don't see conflict as an opportunity to resolve anything. To them, conflict is a threat because it risks exposing behavior that they just don't want to own. So instead of working toward resolution, they aim for reversal. They want to flip the script because the goal isn't to make peace. It's to make sure that they don't lose control, status, or their superiority. And how do they do that? By making you the problem. And suddenly it's not about the cruel thing they said. It's about your tone. It's not about their betrayal. It's about your overreaction. They don't answer the question. They simply reroute it. They reverse the roles until you're left feeling like the one who needs to apologize. This reversal tactic is often so subtle at first. You might bring up something that hurt you, and instead of them being curious or showing any compassion, what you get is a sigh, a smirk, sometimes silence, and then comes the deflection. You always make such a big deal out of nothing, they might say, or you're too sensitive. I can't talk to you when you're emotional. They may even act wounded about the harm that they caused you. I guess I can't do anything right with you. Have you heard that one before? I know you have. Now, instead of holding them accountable, there's an inclination to kind of scramble to defend your tone, your timing, your right to even bring up the subject. You might even apologize for starting a fight just to keep the peace. But the truth is, the fight began the moment you stopped pretending everything was fine. And here's what makes it especially toxic. Narcissists often use your emotional reaction as evidence against you. If you cry, you're unstable. If you get angry, then of course you're scary. And if you go quiet, you're punishing them. This is how the reversal works. You become the problem for responding to the problem. Why do they do this? Because true resolution requires accountability, and narcissists don't want to feel flawed or wrong. To admit harm would threaten their carefully crafted self-image. Many survivors say, "All I want was a real apology." And yes, you deserve that. But the narcissist, they're not interested in repair. What they want is a restoration of their power. This is why you often leave those conversations feeling so confused or guilty and sometimes ashamed. And it's not because you did anything wrong. It's because they flipped the emotional current on you. So now you're the one absorbing all the anger and chaos that they created. And that's not just miscommunication. That's manipulation, pure and simple. So if you've ever walked away from an argument with a narcissist feeling like you were the villain in your own story, please hear this. You're not crazy. You were caught in a game where resolution was never the goal. The truth is, healthy people want understanding. Narcissists want advantage. You don't need to keep explaining and defending and proving your worth to someone who is completely rewriting the story every time you speak with them. If this resonates with you, know that you are not powerless. You get to walk away from the reversal. You get to reclaim your narrative. As we start to wrap up, I want you to know that I admire you just for being here. I see your strength in seeking the truth. You've got this, and I don't want you to ever forget that I'm here rooting for you every step of the way. And if you feel moved, I'd like you just to write in the comments, I am Annie, in solidarity with every man, every woman rebuilding their truth on account of narcissistic abuse. Every time I see those 3 words, it reminds me what we're doing here matters so much. We're not just sharing stories, we're rebuilding something as a community of clarity, compassion, and truth-telling. And I see that in your comments, in the strength of your voices, and in the quiet camaraderie that we're forming together. And for those of you who are new to this podcast, I'm Kyle Hackley, attorney and author of Undercurrent, a story about a woman named Annie who finds the courage to break free from her narcissistic marriage. And she discovers what's waiting for her on the other side of narcissistic abuse, and it is extraordinary. Annie isn't just one person. She's any man, any woman who's ever suffered narcissistic abuse. And as always, I want you to know that you are stronger than you ever believed. And I want you to be tenacious and never give up on what you believe in. Thank you again for being here, for walking this journey with me and all of us in this community that we're forming. Thank you, and I'll see you next time. Bye.